Yo, we lost another legend, and I can't front. This time, it hurts. What up, though? We lost the great D'Angelo, the king of neo soul, and I can't front. Ever since I heard the news about his passing, I've been playing his music continuously, all day, every day. If you walk past my place, all you hear is high notes and keyboards and percussions. D'Angelo was one of a kind. I still remember the moment that happened for me when I first heard the single Brown Sugar. My big brother had came to pick me up from school. And when I heard the instruments, it did something to me internally. It was the first song I remember listening to where it wasn't a jingle. I wasn't just listening to it at a party or something like that. I was actually concentrating on what he had to say. It was so cool, calm, and relaxed. I love the lyrics. I love the beat. I love the music, the production. I love everything about it. And I said to my older bro, yo, who's this? Who is this on the radio? And he was like, I don't know, something. Later on, I was watching New York Undercover, and you remember when they used to go to that restaurant called Natalie's, and I saw him performing on there, and I was like, yo, that's the dude. So I went to Eastland Mall on the way from school, back home, my hometown, Detroit, and stopped at Sam Goody. I couldn't wait to rip the plastic off, and I listened to it continuously so much that the CD started skipping. I had to go back and buy another one. The songs that stood out to me hands down was Brown Sugar, of course, Shit Damn Motherfucker, Me and Those Dreamy Eyes of Mine, and When We Get By. I still play those songs right now on repeat. Yo, you got to understand, 1995, the culture was so different. It was in conflict a little bit. I mean, you had Big versus Pac, you had Death Row versus Bad Boy, and you had the South having something to say. But the one thing they all collectively could agree on, or they didn't get in the way of, was this emerging young artist who was coming in with a little bit of edge because he wasn't a typical R&B singer. Him and Erykah Badu, they were the kings and queens of quote-unquote neo-soul. And they both kind of outgrew and evolved past that title, but D'Angelo was one of a kind. Erykah Badu is one of my favorite artists of all time, and D'Angelo was right there. He made us wait 5 years for the second album that was called Voodoo. And I used to play Devil's Pie all the time because I love the movie Belly, I love the scene, and I love the montage it had in it. But you know what? Untitled, How Does It Feel? Was undeniable. Yeah, he did the video naked. And as a guy or myself, I was trying to avoid it. I know a lot of us brothers was, but we could not deny the music. Okay. And I don't care if you was in mid conversation with your great grandma, your mother, your auntie, your sister, your high school crush, your middle school crush. They all paused when they heard bloop. And they looked to the TV screen. They saw the back of them braids. Because they knew that man was getting ready to turn around in slow motion and start serenading them with his abs. Yo, personally, I'm still going to hold on to the hood theory that there was something going on below that camera lens. And you know what I mean when I'm talking about that, okay? But that was just another contribution to his genius. Yeah, he was performing now like half naked. And I remember even hearing an interview with Questlove saying that D'Angelo was actually becoming uncomfortable because women were coming to his shows telling him to get naked, and he wanted them to be there for his music. See, he was becoming immersed in his own tune as an artist. I totally get it. It was something that was a little bit scary to do, but then he did it. That man made us wait 14 years for the third album, Black Messiah. But you know what? It kind of makes sense because over time, D'Angelo publicly became like a recluse. We started to become used to him popping in and out, showing up on writing credits. But we kind of understood that his genius was something that you had to wait for. And when it came, it was going to shift us. And Black Messiah did that. I really, really love, right? Questlove announced it. I remember we were always on Twitter. Social media was popping at the time. I was one of those people that kind of critiqued it. I ain't gonna front. I was on some, yo, he mumbling. I can't really understand what he got to say. What is this? Regretfully, I wish I can go back and tell myself, just give it a moment, because that's what ended up happening over the years. The instrumentation and who he was. And I remember reading or catching an interview with D'Angelo and him talking about he never really fully embraced the title King of Neo Soul, or he never denied it. He is an artist and he didn't want to be put into a category, which is understandable. He wants to grow. However, he did say, I'm doing black music. You see, that's who D'Angelo was, black rock star, rock star. Matter of fact, he was here to remind you that rock music had been colonized. And he was unapologetically going to remind you that this blackness, this music that you hear right now is us, baby. It is all us. I mean, that man walked in leather pants with no shirt on at plenty of award shows, and none of us said anything about it. He was one of us. He was artistic, yet he was around the way. I love his writing style. I love the way he did everything creatively. Listen, let me tell you something. I never smoked weed before. When I was growing up as a kid, I didn't even experiment it with teenagers as a teen with my fellow friends. None of that. None of my homies, none of that. But you know what? The album Brown Sugar, that was my first high. That's the first time I felt something electric. And D'Angelo, as an artist himself, he also is someone that showed me that vulnerability can be powerful. It doesn't have to be weak. You see, now that I know on my journey, you know, I'm always talking about going on my mental health journey. There was artists like D'Angelo, men like him, who was unafraid to show themselves, to strip themselves for the betterment of their art. And if you are a creative, if you are an artist, you know that vulnerability is your weapon. I know I use it in my writing all the time. And when it came to D'Angelo, he was somebody that was so dope. He was so ill that we were always willing to see what he had going on because we all felt as a culture that he was going to shift us. Now, it's not a question that Prince was his heavy influence as a musical artist, probably his favorite artist. But unlike Prince, D'Angelo music was more like B.I.G., meaning it wasn't a lot. It's only a few albums, but they're gems. You can remember exactly what you was doing when those albums came out, what time of the day it was, how you felt, what you ate that day. But you know what else? Those albums, they didn't age. His music didn't age. It was one of a kind. It was innovative. D'Angelo was not trying to be out there and catch on to whatever that was trendy. He didn't care what you was doing. He was authentic. And that's what I'm going to miss about him the most. That's what we all going to miss about him the most. And I know there's no way in the world that my feelings can feel nowhere near as much as his family members would ever feel for him. But what I will tell you is that music like that, it gives me the courage to want to go out there and create what I want to do. It should give you the courage to go out there and do what you want to do and do you, because he was the definition of that. But music like that, it's not only is it classic, it's timeless. So peace to the dude, D'Angelo. Much love. And most importantly, thank you.